Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for attending Vermont's first State of the Guard event. It is really exciting to have this opportunity to learn more about who the Guard is, what they do, and what the future holds. Before we begin, I want to give a brief background on our keynote speaker. Major General Gregory Knight has served as Vermont's Adjutant General for 6 years. He has nearly 43 years of military service, 30 years as a commissioned officer, and 13 years of prior enlisted service. General Knight began his enlisted career with the U.S. Coastal Guard in October of 1993. Then in 1989, pursued a career in Vermont law enforcement, serving 4 years as a Burlington police officer and 7 years as the chief liquor investigator with the Vermont Department of Liquor Control. During this time, General Knight continued his military career as a traditional Guard member, serving 7 years with the Vermont Air National Guard. And in 1997, he earned his commission through Officer Candidate School as a member of the Vermont Army National Guard. General Knight was selected for active Guard status in June of 2000 until his election as Vermont Adjutant General in February of 2019. In June 2023, General Knight was selected by his peers to become the Vice President Army of the Adjutant General Association of the United States. And this month, General Knight was selected as Citizen of the Year by the Vermont Chamber of Commerce. Yes. General Knight has a Bachelor of History from Johnson State University, a Master of Education from Post University, and a Master of National Security and Strategic Studies from the Naval War College. He is married to his wife, Tracy, wife of 30 years. They have 4 children, Jason, Griffin, Colby, and Cooper, and 3 great-granddaughters, Abby, Bella, and Kingsley. He lives in Huntington, Vermont with Tracy and their 3 dogs. Love dogs, Rocco, Teddy, and Winston. Please join me in giving him a warm welcome.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you so very much for being here. It's always odd to listen to my bio being read, and it occurred to me, I think I've been in the military longer than the speaker's been alive. But anyway, so colleagues, distinguished guests, soldiers and airmen of the Vermont National Guard, thank you for giving me some of your valuable time. Before I continue, I'd like to acknowledge our Gold Star families. These are families who've lost their loved ones through hostile action and service to our nation. They know firsthand the price of freedom, and are survivors as well, some of whom have lost their loved ones to aberrant diseases far too early in life, many from exposure to the toxins from open-air burn pits. Would you all please stand and be recognized? I would also like to take a moment to recognize Senator Leahy and his wife, Marcelle, who've joined us this evening. Senator Leahy is an incredible public servant and an advocate for our Guard, and as he is for so many, Senator Leahy is also a personal friend and a mentor. Senator Marcelle, would you please stand and be recognized? I sincerely thank you for placing your trust in me to serve as Vermont's Adjutant General. The past 6 years have been a distinct honor and privilege to lead the most professional organization I have ever been a part of. This is the first time we've been able to present to you a State of the Guard. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Connor, thanks for setting us up. It is also my last, as I'm not seeking another term as Vermont's Adjutant General. It is, however, something I hope future Adjutants General will have an opportunity to present annually. My reason for being here, in addition to providing you a State of the Guard, is to perhaps let you see what I see every day. I don't have to look very far to find incredible talent, expertise, dedication, and goodness in our people. I may have a bias, but I'm quite passionate about our organization, but you should be immensely proud of your Vermont National Guard. I'd like to tell you a story of opportunity, of remarkable courage, of hope, certainly of challenges you will help us meet and overcome. As you know, Vermont has a distinct and unique relationship between the National Guard and our legislature. Please know how much I sincerely value and appreciate our work together. We've grown and strengthened our relationship to one of transparency and professional candor. In addition to my committees of jurisdiction, at my request, for the past 5.5 years, we've had a Vermont National Guard and Veterans Caucus. This facilitates routine, consistent communication with our legislative colleagues. I would like to recognize my committee chairs, Representative Byrong, Senator Collimore, my caucus co-chairs, Representative Hango, Representative Sibilia, and Representative Stone. Would you please stand and be recognized? Your collegiality, cooperation, and friendship are truly something that should be emulated. 2/3 of our force are traditional drilling members, normally training 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. They pursue a dual career track, working a civilian job while serving part-time. We have incredible, diverse talent in our organization. Our Guard is comprised of personnel working in many civilian career fields: the trades, education, law and law enforcement, the medical field, college students, cybersecurity and IT, small business owners, and many more. Vermont National Guard provides $152 million in pay and allowances into the Vermont economy annually. Military retirees add an additional $85 million. We've contributed over $30 million of military construction funding to Vermont in the last 5 years, with another $77 million projected in the next 5 years. We're also an educated force with a significant number of our soldiers and airmen pursuing or who have earned 2-year, 4-year, and advanced degrees. We have many who've earned certificates in the cyber field and in the trades. This legislature, for many of our members, made that possible. We're working to grow our Guard and the Vermont workforce through our partnered recruiting initiative for military and employers. You know we have to have an acronym, so we're going to call it PRIME, which guarantees Guard members, their spouses, and working-age children an opportunity to interview with our partnered employers here in Vermont. We currently have 21 employer partners. We have five of them pending agreements, and 61 more in the queue waiting to become partners with the Vermont National Guard. Your National Guard has a dual role, unique in our nation, of answering the call here, our domestic mission, and overseas, our federal mission. In my time serving as the Adjutant General, your Guard has responded in times of crisis, answering the call from our governor. When the nationwide call came for the National Guard to respond to January 6th, with Governor Scott's approval, we did not hesitate in sending 100 of our Guardsmen to our nation's capital in less than 72 hours. We were there to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, administering 75,000 vaccines at multiple sites throughout Vermont. And over the course of that COVID summer, distributed 3.2 million meals to Vermonters who are feeling the pinch of hunger. And we did that with our partners in the Vermont Food Bank. In a week, our Guard built a 400-bed alternate care facility to relieve the pressure on our hospitals. While other states did the same, ours was better. We did it at 10% of the cost of other states. We were there when Vermonters experienced the devastating flooding across Vermont over 2 summers, with our soldiers and airmen putting themselves in harm's way to save lives alongside our amazing community first responders. They also coordinated with town emergency managers across Vermont to provide expertise, facilitating timely support to communities where it was urgently needed. Our quick reaction force was directly engaged in saving the lives of 19 Vermonters and their pets from rising floodwaters. They were there with swift water rescue teams to evacuate dozens more. We have 3 soldiers from our flood response team here this evening: Staff Sergeant James Bordeaux, Sergeant John Tanopka, Sergeant First Class Niels Huisman. Would you please stand and be recognized? For our federal mission, our soldiers and airmen deployed to distant places across the world: Europe, Southwest Asia, the Horn of Africa, to conduct missions often in harsh, austere environments, to provide stability and security where there's little to be found. This past Saturday, I returned from Okinawa, visiting the nearly 300 members of our Air National Guard deployed to the Indo-Pacific region. They're conducting 2 large-scale exercises working alongside our allies and partners and operating from distant, separate locations in a logistics-challenged environment. We have 65 other members of our Air National Guard deployed to multiple combatant commands across the globe in support of ongoing missions. Our 86th Infantry Brigade Combat Team, our Mountain Brigade, is preparing for an overseas deployment for training next month. Over 1,000 Vermont soldiers will conduct collective training in Greece and in our partner nation of North Macedonia with 7 NATO allies, participating as part of a series of annual exercises in European Command over a period of 2 weeks. But I'd like to share a little more about our Vermont Army National Guard aviators, our medical evacuation pilots and air crews. Over 2 deployments to U.S. Central Command, 3 years apart, these Army aviators flew over 900 medical evacuation missions. And they did that from 8 austere locations in Southwest Asia. Even working in challenging, contested conditions, flying a complex aircraft in a dangerous environment, our aviators did not miss a single mission, not for any reason. That is unprecedented in Army aviation and speaks to the professionalism and expertise of our soldiers. What I cannot account for is what our flight medics experienced in the back of our Blackhawks as they provided medical care to grievously wounded people. Nor can I tell you how many lives they saved. What I can tell you is that experience comes home with them. I'd like to introduce you to 3 members of our Army National Guard Aviation Unit who recently returned from that mission to Central Command. While moving to a bunker to seek shelter from indirect fire, a terminal attack drone impacted and detonated within meters of them before they could get into the bunker, knocking them to the ground. Another active duty pilot was critically injured in this attack. Disregarding their own blast injuries, these 3 Vermont National Guard soldiers immediately rendered aid, placed the wounded soldier on a Black Hawk, and flew him over 200 miles from their base in Erbil to the hospital in Baghdad, Iraq, saving his life. Once landing in Baghdad, only after completing that mission were they grounded as a result of their own injuries. Each of them received their Purple Heart. Major John Lescure, Chief Warrant Officer Nick Fazio, and Sergeant Alex Jarvis, would you please stand and be recognized? In the spring of 2022, our Air National Guard was asked to fly in support of the NATO air policing mission to counter Russian aggression. Our Air National Guard executed that mission with less than 30 days' notice and did it with 4 fewer C-17s, one of our military cargo aircraft, and 100 fewer airmen than the unit they were replacing. That innovation is a hallmark of our Vermont Air National Guard. These airmen left their families, homes, and jobs to answer this short notice call. One of our young women who worked on an air crew chose to miss her graduation from UVM to go on that mission. That's a level of dedication and loyalty to each other in our force. I can also tell you about Isabel Murphy, who serves as a crew chief for one of our F-35s. That's her jet, an $89 million responsibility given to a 25-year-old young woman. Isabel is unable to join us this evening as she's currently deployed to Okinawa, but her hard-earned achievement is certainly worthy of recognition. As you know, our Guard has 3 state partners, 33 years with the Republic of North Macedonia, 17 years with the Republic of Senegal, and this May will be 3 years with the Republic of Austria. These partnerships are important in our work and represent the remarkable impact of our Guard on the international stage. While the foundation is military to military, we're growing our partnerships into a whole of Vermont approach, inclusive of commerce, environmental conservation, tourism, apprenticeships, and subnational partnerships between the city of Burlington and Chess East in Senegal and the state of Vermont with the Austrian province of Styria in Austria. As you may know, the Vermont National Guard has a long-standing relationship with Norwich University, our senior military college. Truly grateful for this partnership. I had the distinct honor to be in Austria for the signing of an agreement facilitating education exchanges, students and eventually faculty, between Norwich University and the Austrian Theresian Military Academy. It's my goal to grow this initiative and incorporate other Vermont institutions of higher education into our partnerships. This exemplifies the positive influence of sustained friendships, the continuity of our effort, and the simple goodness of our little state. Brigadier General Bill McCullough, Commandant of Cadets at Norwich University, has joined us this evening. Bill, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you for your partnership. Well, I have many vignettes about our partnerships and the success that comes with that. I'll highlight one example. For 8 years, we've conducted a medical readiness exercise in many regions of Senegal. A year ago in June, we sent 30 of our Air and Army National Guard providers, doctors, nurses, combat medics, physical therapists, to work in the far southeast of Senegal. They were joined by 2 Austrian Army doctors and 3 providers from the New Hampshire National Guard. Working with civilian and military medical providers from Senegal in the cities of Tambacounda, Kédougou, and Goudiri, this multinational team saw 791 Senegalese patients in 12 days. That's how great the need is. So our joint team helped with routine medical issues, labor and delivery, orthopedics, eye exams, hearing and dental work. Our physical therapist helped Senegalese citizens out of their wheelchairs and got them walking for the first time in years. One of our combat medics, working in labor and delivery, revived a Senegalese infant at birth, providing life-saving respirations for that child. That mother will always know it was because of our partnership. It was a Vermont National Guard member that saved her baby. That is the goodness of our partnership and our Guard. I do know I simply cannot replicate that experience here. We have several members of that medical readiness exercise team here this evening. Lieutenant Colonel Chris Gookin, Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Davis, Tech Sergeant Taylor Johnson, and First Lieutenant Yaina Hall. Would you please stand and be recognized? As I look across our Guard, I'm immensely proud of being able to offer opportunities to our underrepresented populations. Many don't know if someone is in the United States as a lawful permanent resident, if they meet standards, joining the Guard can accelerate their path to citizenship. Our Guards focus some of our recruiting efforts on these remarkable people who have a desire to serve our nation. We have soldiers and airmen from Ghana, Somalia, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bolivia, Jamaica, Nigeria, Senegal, Kenya, and Haiti. Many of them earn their citizenship through service in our Guard. The Vermont National Guard, we don't talk about inclusion. We practice it. We are an organization of opportunity for all who meet the standards to serve. But I'd like to recognize a few of them this evening. Master Sergeant Mahat Abdullahi, Airman First Class Libas Mbeng, Airman First Class Nastasia Lapam, Private First Class Raj Gurung, Private First Class Sumina Parajuli. Would you please stand and be recognized? We've also grown opportunities for women in our Guard. Mr. President, I'm confident in saying we have more women in senior leadership positions and more aligned to take on that responsibility than any time in our history. They represent a number of firsts. Kelsey Flannery, now a captain, is unable to join us as she's currently deployed on our mission to the Pacific. She's the first woman to ever fly the F-35 in the Air National Guard. Chief Master Sergeant Rala is the first woman to serve as our state command chief. Brigadier General Poyer is the first woman ever promoted to the rank of general officer in the Vermont Army National Guard. As you all know, there can only be one first. But I'd like to introduce you to some of our senior leaders with us this evening. Brigadier General Tracy Poyer, Chief Master Sergeant Julian Rala, Colonel Laura Caputo, Command Chief Warrant Officer Melissa Rice, Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Paletti. Would you please stand to be recognized? We've addressed the challenge of sexual harassment and sexual assault head on. We've changed the culture of our Guard to one that does not tolerate this behavior. We've rebuilt trust in our processes, followed through with victims of this aberrant behavior, and dealt with perpetrators by holding them accountable for their actions. In 2024, there were 2 reported incidents of sexual harassment. One of them was investigated and not substantiated. On the second substantiated investigation, the battalion commander determined the conduct was so egregious, he believed that soldier should no longer have the privilege of serving. I concurred with that recommendation, and the soldier was discharged from our Guard. That tells me that our culture has changed to one of intolerance for such corrosive behavior. Regarding sexual assault in 2024, we had 0 reported incidents. This simply would not have been possible without the diligence and hard work of our sexual assault response coordinators. It is their leadership that has become the example and provided best practices across Guard Nation. Their work has a national impact. Ms. Nikki Sorrell and Ms. Serena Fernari, would you please stand and be recognized? I've worked with members of our legislature and our congressional delegation to address the many problems presented to service members from exposure to open air hazards, burn pits, and other toxins. Through our work with our congressional delegation, the PACT Act is now law, expanding VA healthcare benefits to veterans exposed to toxins, establishing presumptive conditions, and allowing for veterans to file for disability compensation irrespective of where that toxic exposure occurred. We've also worked diligently to address suicide and mental health issues for our members, striving to eliminate the stigma associated with getting help. I presented the American flag to the next of kin at too many funerals for a soldier or airman that took their own life. I'm on the National Guard Bureau Advisory Council at the national level, working to find ways to address and prevent suicide. A key element in this is the establishment of our integrated primary prevention workforce. Our Guard was among the first to complete staffing of this team, building a foundation to understand, analyze, and find ways to intercede before issues arise. We as a state must work to grow the number of mental health providers, find more to take new patients that accept TRICARE, our military health insurance, and attract those who specialize in adjustment disorder, depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress. I've encouraged those returning from deployments to seek help when needed. 20 years ago, I returned from a very kinetic deployment. Our battalion had 16 of our colleagues killed in action. I was not okay. I sought help. And if I can't talk about my experience, how can I expect others to do the same? Well, we don't have enough providers for me to refer them to. You can help us fix that. This leads me to where I will close. The Guard needs your help. As you all know, we have a significant recruiting challenge. My job is to provide ready forces to the governor for our homeland mission and ready soldiers and airmen for our federal missions. And while I'm working to improve our processes at the national level, refining medical standards, addressing military entrance, processing station bureaucracy, preparing applicants for testing and the rigors of basic training, some of our challenges are much closer to home. Too many people assign a negative connotation to service in our military, in our case, our National Guard. I've heard the expression of unfortunate perceptions. You can do better, or why would you throw your life away? These comments are not universal, but when they come from a center of influence to a student or young adult, it carries weight. You can help us to counter that message. Our Guard provides opportunities for those who have a desire to serve. It's this legislature that creates opportunity for so many people. I ask that you do the same to help us grow our Guard. I know we have Vermonters to serve who can serve. It is, of course, a choice. It isn't for everyone. But the rewards for serving our communities, our state, and our nation make it incredibly rewarding, certainly impactful. Now, I will always talk about service first. If you don't have the desire to serve, benefits don't matter. And there are many: affordable health care, dental care, life insurance, retirement and investment plan, and because of the efforts of our legislature, an outstanding tuition benefit program. But until we can share the story of our National Guard more effectively, we will remain hard-pressed to fill our ranks. You, my centers of influence, can help us do that. I ask that you tell our story to your constituents. Send them our 6-month update. Encourage them to go to open houses. Help educate them about what it means to be a member of this incredible organization. Imagine if each of you here this evening would refer one person to join our National Guard. I think that will go a long way to filling our ranks. Also provide employment and education opportunities for hundreds of Vermonters. The good news is, once someone joins our Guard, they tend to stay. Our retention rates remain very high. When you join the Vermont National Guard, you truly become a member of a family, a member of something special. We're no longer a mystery. Come see us. We are, after all, your Guard. We have a lot to offer. But I know we can do more to incentivize keeping our talent here in Vermont and grow our Guard by making our state attractive to military retirees and prior service military members. Further, we have an obligation to honor our military survivors whose loved ones gave their lives in service to our nation. We need to help them stay in the state they love so dearly. The state of our Guard is strong, but with your help, we can become even stronger and grow our capabilities and our capacity. And you continue serving Vermont and our nation well into the future. As a reminder, public service announcement, we're hosting a Legislator Day this Saturday, April 5th, starting at 9 a.m. at the Vermont Air National Guard Base in South Burlington. I sincerely thank all of you for your service, and your time's important. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to provide this address to you this evening. And I would like to invite all of you to join us this evening in the Cedar Creek Room for our reception and to meet some of our amazing Guard members. So God bless and thank you again.